But we are checking in on the educational front now with a good friend of ours for many, many years, Al Garrido, who currently is the head of ISA, the sports organization on Guam. So it's basically like the big one, and there is a lot going on in island sports. So Al, Hafa Adai, good morning, bro.
Hafa Adai, good morning, everybody. Morning, Chris. Morning, Jason.
Yeah, so I know you've got a bunch of things going on, like, you know, career-wise and everything. We're going to talk about, you know, like some of your upward mobility, I guess is the right word. But how is island sports now? Because, I mean, I've known you for, you know, going on 25 years and everything like that. You've always been a mainstay of island athletics, you know, as either as a player or as a coach, and then eventually as administrator. How is the tempo right now? You know, what's been the turnout, you know, and how is everybody like abiding by these restrictions and the rules?
Well, yeah, at first it was really very, very careful grounds we were trying to navigate there, something that nobody has ever done. We started our league as well as IAG, and we were all under very strict protocols and guidelines. Kids were wearing masks during games. At volleyball games, you'd see the volleyball get rolled and it'd be wiped up before the next rally. At softball games, we had to use the defending team, which was the pitching team, had to use their own softballs, and then they had to switch out. So there's a lot of different rules that the kids had to follow. But in the end, if you sat there, you were seeing an interscholastic competition going on, and there was a lot of fun. There was a lot of competition. If you saw that video of our softball champions when Academy won, it was another softball game. And if you saw the video when GW won their first volleyball title for ISA, that was another exciting competition as well. I spoke earlier with Dave, and I told him about something that the media missed, which was pretty cool, was, you know, how we were televising these games at GW, and outside, all the parents were outside in their cars, and once that final whistle was blown and the girls were running and jumping on each other, the horns were honking outside, the lights were flashing, and it was like a huge event outside, which is very unique to our island and probably to the entire world. But it was something that gathered everybody together. Sports is definitely something that brings everyone together.
Okay, now let me ask you something like that. As not only as a participant of athletics and everything, but as a fan of sport, you know, and all of us are. And try and be as, you know, like as subjective or objective, I should say, as you can and everything like that. Admittedly, we've all been a year without being able to play on a court, on a field, in the sand, in the grass, and everything like that. How is the caliber of play and the competition right now? Because, I mean, I see the highlights, and it looks like, you know, obviously these kids have been raring to go for a long time and everything like that. But have their games even like waned a little bit, or are they're gunning at full speed?
You can see it mostly in the developmental years, like our incoming freshmen who are 8th to 9th grade who missed that 9th grade year and coming into sophomore year. And then the ones incoming from 8th grade who missed the 8th grade year and are starting 9th grade year. But having said that, if you went out and you watched, for example, the FD boys volleyball team, I mean, these guys are jumping high into the air and hitting that ball down. If you watch the Tizen versus Okuru game, those guys are hustling all over the place. And so although the athletic ability might have dropped a little bit because of the like almost literally 10 months of inactivity for almost every athlete, except for those that went out and did running and so forth. Other than that, the spirit was still the same. The drive, the passion, the energy was still the same. But yes, you can see, I mean, if you're asking me to be very objective, you can see that there was a little bit of a drop. And whereas a volleyball team that played only 4 or 5 games, and now they're in the middle of their season, whereas usually it's a month of training and then 4 or 5 games and they're in the middle of the season, you know. But so it's a little bit different. But again, they were out there doing the same type of attitude. So it looks, if you weren't observing it from previously, you would not know the difference.
Excellent, because I mean, I know you can just see it on the kids' faces, and yeah, maybe their vertical jump maybe lost maybe an inch or so, just you know, not being able to train, but the smiles on their faces, I mean, you can't fake that.
Yeah, definitely. It was a lot of fun. Coaches too enjoyed it.
Yep.
And I know parents, I mean, my hearts go out to the parents, especially the senior parents who really just wanted to be there. But, you know, it just showed the true love and support that parents had for their athletes, because they knew that they had to support the guidelines in order for those games to continue. They didn't want games to get shut down. So, man, kudos to all our parents who were just really out there wanting to be inside, but watched on I saw it just the other day, two parents, as I was walking into a volleyball game, out in their car, waiting for their son to finish their game, holding their phones up, both of them watching on their own and just cheering. And it was like, well, something to see, really. It's different. And, it kind of warms your heart to know that they're
now, that's a good point, Al, because what has been, as far as participation, and we know that, the restrictions that that the governor's guidance have been well established, and they say, I believe it's a one guest per participant, right? And no more than 50, like at these events. How have the crowds been, and how is their adherence to the guidelines been? Anybody get out of control, or because I mean, it's really easy when you're so hype and you're watching your kid play and everything like that, but have people like really had their own self-discipline?
Oh yeah, they have. Parents are very good about it. I've never seen a parent really argue or say anything. I was at a softball game the other day at Teason, and I saw the athletic director walk over to some parents that were at the bleachers who just happened to come in and, thought that was okay. And they sat down and he said, oh, you guys, we don't have parents here right now. It hasn't been approved. And they just got up and they walked over further away and they watched from further away. No arguments, no nothing at all. Of course, some are going to try to get in and some are going to try to, but, again, there's no pushback when they're told, oh, you guys are going to have to. Because I know that they know that their son or their daughter is out there, and they want to make sure that they continue to play. So they follow the guidelines as
good job,
stated.
parents.
And the best part, really, it's all those other people that are there that have to turn people away, and they, everyone's handling it very amicably,
Oh, good.
And
certainly, I mean, we've talked to some members of clergy, and they say they face the same thing, like when they have mass or they have religious services. Like it's heartbreaking. We have to tell, Tunwan and Tan Mary that they can't come inside because we're already packed. But for the most part, they understand.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So my next question is probably for me the most obvious, and probably for you the most challenging, and everything is with respect to sports competitions. Where do we go from here? What's next?
Well, we're hoping to have everything open up, and we're hearing that in May that there's going to be more things opened up, and we're on my way out. My transition team consists of Marvin Linder, who's from Southern High. He's going to be the acting ESA League director until we hire a full-time person for the position. Deputy Joseph Sanchez, as well as the superintendent John Fernandez. We have Kevin Taitagui here in downtown, who's handling some of the paperwork. So we have a good team, including Marty Bedreau, who's assisting Marvin with the operations of the league. So closing out, we want to close out this season. We'll make sure everything's successful. We have a huge list of sports that we're doing for ESA. And then we're going to have a contingency plan for next year. We're going to plan full steam ahead, middle school sports, high school sports, everything as normal, with the possibility of having to deal with the guidelines should they continue by that. And
I'm loving the fact that, Al, you're throwing out, basically like a who's who name of, the people that are involved in youth athletics here, showing that this really is, and fittingly so. I mean, it is a team event. It's going to take everybody who works in, hosting sports events, officiating, setting the schedule, enforcing the rules and everything like that. If we want to do this right and make sure that we can continue to do this, it's going to take all hands on deck. And it seems like that's the way it's been so far.
Yeah, actually, from the way beginning, it's been teamwork. It's been, may have been a rough road at the beginning. There was a little bit of misunderstandings, people not knowing that we can still compete with each other, thinking that the separation had to deal with separating competition. But so it was a lot of just really informing people, letting them know what we're all about and what we're going to do, and all those plans. And a lot of it had to do with buy-in from the athletic directors and the support from the board. And of course, the governor's office and DPHSS communicating with us, saying, hey, this is what you can do and all that stuff, and continuing on the line. So it was really good to finish that block 1 schedule and move on to this block 2. It was a lot of very, very gratifying, especially during these times.
All right. Well, congratulations to you and all your colleagues and your team for just like pulling off what a lot of people wanted, obviously, and there was a huge demand for. But the fact that you guys have pulled it off, as successfully as you have, is to be commended. So congratulations to all you guys.
Thanks. And you know what? I gotta give a shout out to the media, because you guys really helped a lot of this. Get the word out once we started sports. and you really showed a lot of support for the student athletes, which always came first. You showed that concern for them from the beginning. And on my way out, I really would like to say you guys really helped with the process. I truly appreciate it. God
Hey, well,
bless you.
well, thanks a lot. I mean, truly, we've got the easy part, but you mentioned Al like a few moments ago. You said your transition and everything, and like there is a new opportunity that you are pursuing, and you continue to serve the island in an educational capacity. So tell us about where you're going next.
Well, I'm very excited to work over at the Guam Community College. I'll be working under TSS, under Dr. Michael Chan, and of course, Dr. Okada over there. I look forward to a new era for GCC, trying to help them with their online LMS and improving their systems that they've already gotten done, and they're really doing a great job over there. So it's just really me trying to fill my role in there and try and see what I can do to help GCC continue to grow and produce.
Yeah, and you do have a background. You've got a graduate degree in educational technology, and GCC's always been known, obviously for the vocational technical side of it, but they've also had a lot of like very hands-on specializations and everything like that. So, what do you bring to the table as far as your background in saying there are newer systems and everything's moving to the cloud, and we don't have to have the costly or the very advanced systems that we may have had to have in the past. We can have everything, online systems and whatnot, and doing everything like right here at home.
Well, fortunately, a lot of people, like, I'm glad you mentioned that. I do have my master's is in integrating technology into the classroom. And I do have instructional design experience and certification for that. So that's what actually I'm going to be going into at GCC. And one of the things that was fortunate, I believe, even though it was unfortunate, but it pushed Guam into a new era of education, which is online education. And it's a disruptive education, which means that it's going to be met at first, which we all experienced in the beginning with a little bit of pushback. Oh, how do we do this? How do we do that? But we were forced to actually push that bar there and raise the bar in a sense. And so basically GCC is going to be one of the educational institutions that's going to really take online education to another level. And I really look forward to helping professors and the entire school transition into that and making it comfortable and a great learning experience for everybody.
And certainly, like in your role as like ISA's administrator, this isn't just a job that you can say, okay, well, Al's out at 5 o'clock on a Friday, and the new guy or girl starts on a Monday. The transition is substantial, and there's a lot of moving parts and everything. And as long as I've known you, you're not just someone who would say, okay, next person come in and you're taking over. How much hands-on experience or hands-on involvement, I should say, have you had with that transition, and has your successor been officially named?
No. There are a couple of people that put in their names in the hat that are really interested in taking over the ISA lead director position. And there is a transitional report. We've actually had a couple of meetings already. Our incoming acting lead coordinator, I didn't mention that yet, is Marvin Linder from Southern High. And again, he's going to be assisted with Kevin Tidegui from downtown. Some other exciting stuff include our middle school coordinator. We're going to be naming a new middle school coordinator this coming year too, to help organize. And ISA, which was originally high school sports, now will be combining with middle school sports too, and helping run the middle school sports too. So the transition actually spurred a lot of new ideas coming up. And my next successor is going to have a lot of cool, creative stuff to work with when they come in.
You're not only a teacher of technology. I know you're also a student of history. Again, as long as I've known you, you've always tried to take like a perspective of like looking back and incorporating knowledge and everything like that. So, what has the last year meant for you in particular as an educator, and what have you learned?
Well, being here in downtown, it really just showed the resilience of what Guam is all about. I guess I was involved in two very transitional things on Guam, which is the ISA League, transitioning from one combined league into a different league. And then I was also with my part of my job also, so I was a part-time federal programs division. That's where I was originally hired for under CNI. And I'm in the project classroom supports and academic interventions under Josh Blas. And so that's my other hat that I wear. And yeah, it's really taught resilience, because when we shut down the schools, not only was sports shut down, education for a while was at a standstill, and GDOE had to rise to the challenge. And we put together a website with educational resources for our students. We put together PBS under Ernesto Ochoco to shoot out videos for the kids. And then we found different models of learning for our kids to actually get out there and find some type of education to close out the year. So what I've learned is the resilience of our entire island, the leadership of our board and our superintendent, where they really had their eyes forward and knowing what we needed to do, rather than sit down and saying what's going on, what happened. We really there were so many countless meetings that organized everything to make sure that we're taking the right steps. It may have been a slow start, but I think now we definitely have a good vision of what we want to do as far as GDOE. And again, GCC and UOG, all our educational institutions are all kind of like in on that same page. So as an educator, again, that's that word resilience showed for what Guam could do. I think we're ahead of the curve for some other islands. And yeah, I'm very proud of what Guam has done so far.
All right. Well, when I heard, you got the position and everything like that, I immediately thought, I was like, they picked the right man for the job. And, you've done a very honorable and very honest job in that position. And we wish you the very best in your future endeavors. I'm going to leave you now with asking you one final question, right? Because you've worked on and off as a member of the media covering sports, right? You wrote wonderfully for the PDN for so many years. I'm going to ask you to put on your reporter hat just one more time. And in the high school sports that we've been fortunate to have to this point, since the pandemic started, what would be some of the stories as a storyteller that you would write about? And what are some of the high points that you'd say these should be memorialized and reported?
Wow, that's a really tough one. There's so many different things. Probably one of the cool things is the fact that although the two leagues are separated, that they're both operating well, and there's a chance for them to continue to work together. I think it's important to note that we do actually even have a private school in our ISA League. Guam Adventist Academy joined our ISA League, so they looked over and they said, okay, we want to try the ISA League, and so they're doing.
What is GAA's mascot, by the way? I knew at one point.
They're the Angels.
That's right, the Angels. Yes, yeah, that's right. I even remember for a little while Guam had the Gators for remember that? For a very brief moment.
Yep. That's a cool story. Probably another cool thing too that I think sports-wise would be just all the different opportunities that are coming up this coming year that was put in place as I started working. That includes something you guys will see soon. We're trying to get all our high school interscholastic coaches, head coaches certified. They're all going to get what I believe is AIC, accredited interscholastic certification under a program funded here at GDOE. And that includes I know there's Office of Catholic Education are going to get that. So their coaches, St. John's, I know they had some coaches on the list, and GAA. So these guys are going to get certified, which will be something that they can take with them. That's something that I don't know if it's offered in the last 2 decades. We're getting there's a lot of action going on behind the scenes that you guys are going to see. And probably the biggest thing would be that collaboration with GNOC, where we had the medical experts come in and talk to our kids, talk to our coaches. And you'd be surprised how much we assumed that our coaches knew, that these experts taught them, about sports training and so forth. And that really just goes to show the growth that we're planning. And again, it's going to affect both leagues. We feel that it's one island, and we want to make sure that all our student athletes are affected by this positively.
All right.
That's it.
Well, again, congratulations. And, you've done a hell of a lot of work over the last, 14 months and change and everything like that. But knowing you, I know for you, it's never been a job. I mean, this is your passion. This is what you've been doing anyway. So, on behalf of our community and everything like that, thank you for everything that you've done to keep sports going.
Thanks, Jace. Thanks, Chris. We really amen to all of that. And I hope that it continues on. And I look forward to have very much confidence in everybody out there. Thank you.
All right, Matt. Well, and best of luck over at GCC. We'll catch up with you then.
Appreciate it. God bless you.
All right. So we are going to take a quick break. And you know what? The food is here. Speaking of GCC, Al's new employer, our friends at the Guam Community College Culinary Academy dropped off some of their Taste of Thailand, so we will be giving you a shot of that as we wrap up the link right after these messages.
Right. Actually, we're going to jump into Burger King's Cover Me, which is brought to you by Burger King. Happy 32nd anniversary to the King.